Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me, as usual, but this time about 8-9 hours away of a car ride, as opposed to last week, is Gary Grew from Lax Philly. Gary, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Rocco. I'm looking forward to it. We're less than a day away from the deciding game, and this is going to be a barn burner. And I've got to catch a flight in a number of hours so I can be there for it.
Yeah, lucky you get a chance to go out there, see the Cup, see them crown a champion. Last week we had that live show on Facebook Live, and we had over 1,000 views. So for everybody who tuned in and watched it, thank you very, very much. Again, thanks to John Taragino over at the Stock Exchange Restaurant, allowing us to do that. Kelvin Ohms, the Hulk, Rush Hulk, for joining us, which was a real treat to get. I guess you don't want to say inside his head, but to get the in-depth of what, how he came up with the Hulk for it, how it all came about, and then also Tim Nab, the head of the Rochester Nighthawks fan club, coming on and talking a bit about how the pre and post game parties got started over there at the stock 10 years ago, and it was just a whole lot of fun. I mean, Gary, it makes me wish we were closer together so we could do a live show like that every week. It was great. It was a great time.
It was a super time, and everybody got a lot out of it, and we had an awful lot of fun. And it was great to see everybody in their colors and getting along and doing all the things there. It's great to see the lacrosse community when it all gets together.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said before, we'll hate you when the game starts, but once it's over, let's sit around, have a few beers, and have some fun. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our friend Gary Bill O'Brien. Okay, Thriller himself. On his weekly show every Wednesday on his Facebook page, him, Chrome Rome, and Curtis Kong, he gave us a nice little shout out for our show. So obviously he listens to our podcast.
The site, so yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Gary and I truly appreciate it. But if you also want to get some motivational sayings and help with certain things, go to his Facebook page. It's Brian O'Thrill, Brien O'Thrill. It's every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. He does it live. Right now they're doing the road shows from different places. And, he gives some, motivational sayings, things that you can do to...
He's got a daily vlog as well that he shows his workouts. And
yes.
So it's cool. I've been using it for quite a while to get inspired and do things, and it's been great. And he's helped me out quite a bit. Yeah,
and he even has some funny little videos out there too that his friend Nicolo Ronaldo throws together. The latest one was with the car wash that I really liked and got a big kick out of. So go to his page, watch his show. It's done live. It's funny. It's informative and funny. I mean, everything he says on there is true. Whether it's motivational sayings or things you can do to cut down on carbs and how to eat healthy and things like that. It's all there. He'll basically answer any type of questions that are there. So I wanted to thank Big Bill for giving us that shout out on there. And
Bill, I'm looking for my tickets when you're fighting Lesnar.
Yeah, I want to be there too. See that happen. But let's get to the story. Well, another thing before we even get into the game, Gary. Did you see last night that somebody came out of retirement?
Yeah, I wrote a little thing about that myself on Lax Philly. Mm-hmm. Over in the Six Nations, we had a sighting.
Yes.
He wound up with 3 assists in the game.
And he goes by the name of John Tavares. And no, we are not talking about the hockey player. We are talking.
We're talking about Uncle John.
Yes, we are talking about the one and only Johnny Tavares, Johnny T, the former Buffalo Bandit, the Bandit assistant coach. That's who we are talking about. He suited up for Six Nations.
They're missing some players because some players are playing tomorrow night.
Yes, but from what I heard, it looked like he didn't miss a step.
Well, yeah, he's Johnny's always in good shape, so he's Tavares.
Right.
He's a living legend, so he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I mean, I know it had to be a shock.
They need a little more help than that, though, because Peterborough's a juggernaut, and in the last 7 minutes, they just put into another gear, scored 6 goals, and won by 6.
Yeah.
So that covered that. It's kind of like a road runner and a coyote. Let the coyote catch up, and then off he went.
Off he went, exactly.
The only gap Peterborough's had this year is they lost to Oakville, the Oakville Rock. And ironically, Brooklyn's beating the Rock right now as we speak. 6-4 after 2. So we'll see where that goes up, because Oakville's the only undefeated team in the MSL right now. Well, Brooklyn is, but they've only played one game, right?
One game, right. Yeah, and it's early yet in that season.
Funny, because Brampton's played 5 games already.
Huh.
Their schedule been front-loaded like crazy.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that is coming up this Tuesday, I have the honor of being one of the special invitees to see the new Philadelphia Wings jersey as it is unveiled. So I will have that on our page right here at Behind the Bench live. I believe it's at 9:30, if I remember correctly. I want to look and I saved the picture of it. And yes, it's at 9:30 on Tuesday the 12th. So 9:30 a.m. is when you will see the new jersey for the Philadelphia Wings be revealed on our Behind the Bench page live. So I got that special invite on Wednesday. So I was kind of happy with that. There's only a handful of people that got the invite for it.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And just to let everybody else know that the expansion rosters for the expansion draft will all be released this coming Monday. The other 7 teams have already submitted theirs. The other 2 teams, obviously the Saskatchewan Rush and the Rochester Nighthawks, don't have to hand theirs in until Monday. I think like Monday, let's just say like at 10 o'clock so they can release it at noon, we'll say. But I guess there's a time they have to release it, and then the leagues want to release all the rosters. And Gary, you were with me. According to the commissioner, there's some surprising names from what he saw.
Yeah, he had mentioned that there's a few things that were eyebrow-raising, so, I'll be curious.
Yeah, I mean, even though the San Diego Seals won the toss, and they have elected to take the first pick in the entry draft, which gives the Wings the number 1 pick in the expansion draft, it sounded to me like the commissioner was trying to, in his own way, say that the Wings might have actually won the better of the deal, because there's some really good players out there in this expansion draft. So hopefully when the list
I think both of them will yield some players, so I don't think you're talking about minuscule things of who won and who did better.
Right.
You're both first and second picks in either one. I think both are going to yield good picks.
Yeah, and it should be real interesting.
Oh my God, they won. Well, you're picking second.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're not getting so-and-so. Yeah, well, there's 42 other players out there that are just as good, so don't worry about it. Yeah,
because I remember mentioning to the commissioner that a lot of people we saw right off the bat that everybody was saying, well, so much for the Wings getting Trevor Batiste from Denver. And when I said that to the commissioner, he kind of just looked at me and going, there's better players out there in the expansion draft.
You know that. There's already proven players out there. That's just one side of thinking, and I wish people would stop doing silly things.
Yeah.
I get it here in Toronto also, talking about different things, and it's like, maybe it's time to start looking at the half-full thing instead of the half-empty thing. Instead of always finding what's wrong with something.
Exactly.
And, both are going to yield some pretty good picks. Both are going to yield some pretty good teams.
Yeah, well,
and they have good people at the helms. Yeah. So I don't see this being colossal failures by any stretch.
No.
So let's just see how it plays out.
Plays out, right. When you think about it, 9 teams, the most they could lose are 2 players, okay, each. So
half your roster right there, and then you got to do your stuff on the other draft, just like anybody else. So as long as you're doing your homework, and both teams with the people they have in place are notorious for doing their homework.
Right. I
don't see that being a big issue.
No, because you're looking at San Diego. You're looking at Patrick Merrill as the GM head coach, and Shooter Sanderson as being the assistant coach there, with Steve Govett as the president there. And then you look over at the wing side, and you got Paul Day and Landon Miller. Paul Day and Landon Miller have both played parts in the 2012-2014 three-peat of the Rochester Nighthawks, as well as
let alone the MSL connections and all the other ones. So they have a pulse on everything that's coming in, plus the junior stuff, and they know who's coming up.
Yep.
There's going to be no surprises in this thing.
No,
everybody's going to be very well prepared, and I think everybody's going to be very, very, very happy with what's going on.
Yeah, and it's going to be
because you're going to have 2 teams that aren't stepping posts. You're going to have 2 teams that are going to be viable contenders that are going to be exciting games to watch for everybody else in the league.
Oh yeah, most definitely because you got they're picking 1 and 2. San Diego's 1, Wings are number 2, and that's how they're picking in each of the 6 rounds. Okay.
Which is fine, but I don't expect it to be like the Vegas Golden Knights of hockey, and it shouldn't be.
No,
it should be an automatic all-star team.
Right.
That just puts a black eye on everything that's come up till now.
Yeah, but they also get
the right stuff and the right homework, and knowing who's in the draft, and a little bit of luck that never hurts.
No, don't. But
then you're set.
Yeah, you also got to remember that in the first and second round, not only do they pick San Diego 1, Wings 2, but they also get the last 2 picks in the first and second round as well. So when you come to the end of round 1, the last 2 picks of the first round, it's going to go San Diego, Philly, then you jump to the start of the second round, and you got San Diego and Philly. And it's going to be like that at the end of the second into the third. So in the first round and the second round, they get the first 2 picks and the last 2 picks. And then rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6, they just have the first 2 picks. So they're going to walk out with at least 10 players from the entry draft and 9 players from the expansion draft. And who knows what they're going to get during free agency, and we'll get into that as we get further along. But let's talk about the game. Over 9,000 people were there, Gary. A nice-sized crowd from Saskatchewan came in. That was the loudest I've heard that building in a long time.
Yeah, they did very well.
It was just there. And in the very beginning, it looked like Saskatchewan was just going to take control of this game right off the bat and say, you know what, this is it. It's ours. We're taking this cup home tonight. They opened up, quickly. Robert Church with a beautiful pass, just going around the horn. And, Shatler to McIntosh right to Church and in before you could even, flinch. And then Jeff Shatler, who had one hell of a game for Saskatchewan. He had 3 goals and 4 assists on the night. Put them up 2-0, and that was the last time they would really have the lead. Because then Rochester just put it into another gear after that. They just seemed to wake up at that point.
Yeah, once they woke up, there was no looking back, really.
No.
The funny thing is, the turning point, in my opinion, it was 3-2 going to the end of the first quarter, and with only a couple of 3.2 seconds left, I think it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ryan Keenan scored with an extra attacker on to make it 3-3, and on that same play, Jake Withers got a delay of game penalty. So you're thinking they're going to start the second quarter. They just scored to tie it up. They have the momentum, and they have a power play. And this is where here it comes.
Yeah.
This is where it gets. Here it comes. And 26 seconds into the second quarter, Austin Shanks scores a shorthanded goal on Rochester, and boom, drove the momentum that way. Yeah. And it went straight to Rochester, who rode the wave and absolutely steamrolled Saskatchewan in that quarter.
Yeah, and that goal by Shanks, that shorthanded goal, that was a laser of a pass by Paul Dawson.
Oh yeah,
that was unbelievable. On the way, and Craig Rybczynski from the Nighthawks announcer wrote an article that's up on the Rochester Nighthawks website about the type of game that Paul Dawson had. It was one of his best games ever. He was right. He had 2 assists, 2 loose balls, 3 caused turnovers, and he won a face-off.
And he didn't get sidetracked with a lot of nonsense and mumbo-jumbo to put himself in the box.
No, he didn't get put in the box at all. That's the best part of it. He had the game of his life. People may say, what, 2 assists is the game of his life? You got to remember, he's a defender.
For a stay-at-home defender?
Yeah.
One who's going to actually mix it up whenever he has to? That's the game of his life, offensively.
Yeah, I mean, he had that one, he had that laser pass, and then there was another one.
He also had a couple of opportunities to score a goal.
Yeah, he did.
Evan Kirk was up to the challenge, but would that have been something?
Yeah, I mean, he had the other one, the pass to Vitarelli from behind the net. He saw Vitarelli coming down the slot and just hit him. I mean, plain as day.
I still don't understand why Saskatchewan put Dan Dawson in the lineup and took Curtis Knight out unless he's hurt, but I've seen nothing anywhere.
We saw Curtis Knight during the warm-ups. He was moving around with no problem.
That's what it is. He looked fine. So I really don't understand the thinking there, because we didn't see Dan Dawson much in the game.
No.
And when we did see him, he wasn't doing much.
Right. He didn't score a goal until the last second of the game, literally.
Right.
The last tenth of a second.
1 second left in the game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's on the score sheet. So to me, I still don't understand the thinking there.
He only had 3 shots on goal, and he had 1 loose ball.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I said this to you before. They're playing in Rochester. He was a Nighthawk.
Yeah.
Keenan's throwing him a bone, thinking that they might be able to win even without, if by them making this change.
Well, I wouldn't expect to see him in Game 3.
No, I wouldn't either. But I think
that was the first head scratcher that I saw.
Yeah, I think they had him play because I really do think this is going to be it for Dawson.
Yeah.
I really do, and I think he wanted to give him that one shot there.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully
the whole game it was everything we had talked about. If Saskatchewan gets in penalty trouble, they're going to have a hard time. Well, Saskatchewan got in penalty trouble. In fact, at one point they had 4 penalties in a row.
Yeah.
It's uncharacteristic of them. They were out of sorts. Their shooting was off. Their passing was off, which is completely out of character. But a lot has to do with probably the best I've seen the Rochester defense play.
Yeah.
They were in every lane, every shooting lane, every passing lane, and quickly. And they were bumping guys off of their shots just enough that these things were going wide. And if they did happen to go through, Matt Vince was playing out of his mind. Like, I haven't seen Matt Vince play this good in a long time. And he could have stole this game no matter what. I don't think he was going to be beat on this one.
No. I mean,
he said it in his own post-game comments. He's playing 1 shot at a time, but he was zoned. He was completely in the zone all night. After those first 2 goals went in, he was completely in the zone.
Yeah, I saw a completely turn around, and I thought for sure that once when Saskatchewan scored that goal with 3.2 seconds to go, I'm like, oh no, here we go. They're going to go on this huge run, and here Rochester went on the run, and
Yep,
before you know it,
and he continued to do it in the second half.
Yeah, before you knew it, it was 8-4 at the half. Shatler scores the first goal of the third.
And we're thinking again that this is the time when they're going to pick it up. They had their adjustments, and now away we go.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nope. Rochester comes back. Jameson, Hosick, and Currier. Boom, boom, boom. Before you know it, it's now 11-4 or 11-5, I should say, and
it's over.
That was basically it right there because they just matched them goal for goal. And
the other big topic we got to talk about is, and we've talked about it during the year too, Jake Withers. The man was 72% or whatever at the face-off dot. He's just lights out.
16 for 22. That's
he went 17-8. 17 out of 25. You're getting that many possessions, and you're firing on all cylinders. Good things are going to happen.
Yeah,
that many extra possessions. And, Jeremy Thompson, he's been great for a number of years. He's been struggling the last year or so. And, he basically finished the year in and around 50%. Well, he's in around 20% right now. I'm curious what they're going to do as an answer. Or do they just give in and then wait?
Yeah.
Try and knock the ball free. Because, trying to fight for it right now, it's futile right now.
No, it is. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, he went 5 for 20 on the faceoffs. And
now, the interesting thing also is that Rochester went 0 for 5 on the power play.
Yeah, I was going to say that. With the final score being 13-8, okay? Rochester goes 0 for 5 on the power play. This could have been a lot worse.
Right. But the thing was that Saskatchewan was on the defensive part, killing these things off.
Yeah.
So they never really could form themselves an attack when they got into penalty trouble. So it went into Rochester's advantage even without scoring goals. So, they need to keep their butts out of the box. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean,
back to the Saskatchewan Rush type of play, the things that were working for them in Game 1 that they got away from in Game 2. And stay away from all the shenanigans.
Well, I mean, each quarter is 15 minutes long. And when you get 4 penalties in a row in the second quarter, that's 8 minutes you're playing shorthanded. Mm-hmm. You're playing more than half of that second quarter shorthanded. No wonder why you got outscored 5-1, even though they didn't score anything on the power play. Everybody was just so tired out there from, being out there on defense most of the time, and your main offensive contributors being on the bench. We always said, the penalties are going to kill you. Well, even though Rochester didn't score on them, it still killed them.
Yep.
I mean, 13-8. This was complete Rochester, and this was the lowest amount of goals that Saskatchewan has scored since April of last year, since the last game of the season last year, when they lost to Calgary 14-7. So it's been over a year since they only scored a single digits in goals.
Well, the funny thing is, Keenan said it, and I agree with him, is both games, the scores aren't indicative of the play. The games were a lot closer than the scores indicate in both games.
Yeah.
There were points where it could have gone either way, and it didn't fall that way. Now, getting bounces is one thing. Matt Bintz had a few bounces go his way, and again, he was lights out. Evan Kirk fought everything all night long. And things that he would normally save, he didn't get the bounces, and things went astray. So when it rains, it pours. So I don't expect to see 2 games in a row like that. Just like I didn't expect to see 2 games in a row like we saw from Game 1.
Right.
But, that leads us to, who's going to be the jump. When it comes down to a 1-game series, it's who's hot that minute. And who can roll with that momentum.
Yeah.
Both teams deserve to be here. There's no 2 ways about it. Both teams are very deserving to be here, and they've proved it again and again and again.
Yeah, and we said in the beginning of the year, we knew Saskatchewan would be here. We were wondering who's going to come out of the East. Would Toronto be able to come out? Would New England take that big step? Could Buffalo do it? They came close last year, and in the beginning of the year, it looked like like I was saying Rochester. Then they go on that 6-game losing streak, and we're thinking, okay, trade deadline's coming up. Are they going to be sellers? What's going to happen? We're waiting to see. Okay, who are they going to get rid of? Who's Toronto going to pick up? Who's because that was at the time that Tom Schreiber got hurt.
Yep.
And we're thinking, ooh, okay, are they going to rent a player for a year? Who are they going to, is Rochester going to try to get a whole bunch of picks and, what's going to happen? And then out of nowhere, Rochester goes on a run and wins, what was it, 8 out of their next 9?
Yeah, and they were untouchable during those days.
Yeah, and, they go ahead, they, get by New England, they do what they, what they had to do in the playoffs, and now here they are. You had Matt Vince play unbelievable in Game 2. The offense came along, and so who knows what's going to happen in this third game. I mean, Josh Courier, 4 goals. A career night for him. Not much for talking on the interviews. As somebody told me, it's kind of like getting blood from a stone. I think, somebody's got to talk to Josh and get him used to doing interviews and press conferences to loosen up a little bit. He was a little bit tight there. But yeah, I mean, Rochester was on their game. Mike Hazen said, our backs are best, when they're up against the wall. And now the series is tied 1-1. You got a hot goalie. Everybody seems to be clicking right now. But now you got to go to the Sastow Center. And that place is loud. So no doubt your back's going to be against the wall in this game. And the thing is, can you do it again? That's what, you have to see. Can you do it?
Now, to say that place is loud is a real understatement. Last year's game, I said my ears were still ringing by Thursday. He put 15,000 screaming people in there who are absolute rabid fans into a low roof kind of idea, and the noise just resonates. Now, one of the things of the home advantage is, your defense is be able to hear through all that because, they're going to tame it down while you have the ball. Rochester's going to have a little bit more trouble communicating with one another than they obviously did at home. So I'm going to see how that plays out, because that had a lot to do with how Saskatchewan wasn't doing so well. Was the noise in Blue Cross Arena was at times deafening.
Yeah, and like I said, that was the loudest I've heard it in a very long time.
Yeah, and overall it was a really good atmosphere in there.
Yeah. Oh, was the place was going nuts from the start. Mm-hmm. Once they brought out the fancy dancers and everything else, I actually heard that a couple people got thrown out because they were singing the national anthem too loud.
I didn't hear that one, but nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, okay. Might have been a little inebriated and singing it too loud, but that's what happens. But yeah, even once the game started and Matt Vince was started to make the saves and seeing the ball more clear than he has in game 1. And then like I said, you had Paul Dawson chipping in with his 2 assists, and just everybody putting doing what they need to do. Graham Hossack picked up 2 goals. Brad Gillies with a goal. Austin Shanks 1 and 3. Corey Vitarelli with a goal and an assist. Yeah, we've mentioned Josh Courier with 4 and 2. Scotty Campbell 2 assists. Luke Magnan with 1. Kyle Jackson only a goal and an assist. Eric Fennell 1 and 2. Jammer Cody James had 2 and 2. Jervis Sataris only had 1 assist in the game. Yeah, I mean, but everybody else picked up the slack.
And that's what good teams do.
Yeah, but here's the thing now. Game 3 in Saskatchewan, Red Stars cannot have that 0 underneath the goal column. Cannot. Granted, yes, Josh Courier scored 4 goals. I guarantee you he ain't scoring 4 in this game. Okay? Jammer with only 2 goals. Okay. Jammer gets 2 or 3. Fennell chips in with a few. Jackson needs to get more than 1 goal in this game coming up. Austin Shanks, he needs to at least get 2 goals in this game. He had 10 shots. He was the only player on that Rochester team with double digits in shots. He had 10. You need...
Well, the one person who was completely disappeared in this game was Mark Matthews.
He was there?
Rochester defense just took him completely out.
Yeah. Only 4 assists.
And really, he wound up with, 4 assists?
Yep.
8 shots on goal. 3 loose balls. That's it.
Yeah.
1 cause turnover.
Yep.
There's completely unmarked Matthews numbers.
Well, look at Robert Church and Ben McIntosh. Church.
Well, they both had a goal each. Yeah, where that should be tripled or quadrupled.
Yeah, I mean, Church had 1 goal, 2 assists on 6 shots. McIntosh had 1 goal, 3 assists on 11 shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not, I think what happened is after they got down 8-4, they started squeezing the stick just a little bit too tight and just started firing.
I also found it interesting that Nick Billich was in the lineup, too. So
yeah.
But he did pretty well.
Yeah, he had
6 loose balls.
Picked up an assist, yeah.
He had an assist. Yeah. He held his own for a spot in the lineup, but still I found it kind of odd.
Yeah. Well, he played in the first game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe he's the player that they're going to have to give other people a blow of air for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's going to be there for. So because
even Mike Messenger had a pretty off game, only 4 loose balls, 3 for 5 on the faceoffs. It was good. So that was their answer. That's what Messenger in the faceoff thought because Jeremy Thompson was 5 for 20. So 3 for 5. That's awakening news.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if maybe that's what they'll do there. Maybe they'll throw Messenger in for a little bit long, for more face-off draws.
That's possible. He's a tank, so you're not going to move him.
I mean, I would try. That's what I would do. I would switch it up, let Messenger be the primary guy for this game. Just so, Rochester's offense doesn't get on the floor as quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking, Withers 16 for 22. That's telling you right there. 16 out of the 22, out of what, there was, we got 25 face-offs. Okay, 16 of them, immediately, Rochester has the first possession. And considering that Rochester ran all 4 goals in a row, it could have been 8. You score, you get the face-off. I mean...
Now, also, a little stat that we would normally just pick out of the air. We had Tyler Carlson actually playing 2 minutes and 22 seconds of this game.
Yeah.
Anything could have happened in this game.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the last thing I actually expected to see, but...
Well, yeah, we were... I remember we were joking around on the floor about it. I was like, oh, yeah, you don't have any Band-Aids on his fingers. Yeah, so I guess he ain't getting the splinters from the door, and you kind of reminded me that there were, metal doors. But, he could have gotten,
It's tough when it gets slammed in there. That WD-40 doesn't work all that well to keep it oiled.
Yeah, I mean, it could also get, a little blister between the boards in the door where it shuts, or or a little sliver of metal. Anything, can happen there. You never know. He could.
Well, like I said, he did 2 minutes 22 seconds, and it didn't hurt them any.
No, he didn't face a shot or nothing.
No.
That's probably why it didn't hurt him.
Well, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, but I mean, being down on the floor, when we were on that floor, Gary, you could see the intensity in these players. You watch Matt Vince; he gets down in the crouching position like a catcher, and he's watching every little thing that the Saskatchewan team is doing.
Billy D. Smith was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
he stood there and, he looked like he was just looking at people for nutritional value at one point. But he controlled himself perfectly in this game.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything stupid to cause the team any trouble.
No, he picked up one loose ball, and that was it. No penalties, no nothing.
I guess he got it all out of his system in the game before.
Well, I think he got it out of his system, and I think the team kind of pulled him to the side and said, "Yo, Billy, you gotta tone it down."
Yeah, it's not the Darris Bandits anymore.
We can't afford to have you, or anybody really in the box for 6 minutes. We can't take anything stupid like that. You gotta cut it. That's it. And surprisingly, with the officiating crew that was there, there weren't really a whole lot of penalties. There were 7 of them called. I was expecting a lot more.
Don't forget, Chris Williams is still the crew chief, right? Cardonio's only an assistant.
Assistant, right.
So it might have been a little bit different if he was the crew chief. But even, Matt Robinson, he didn't do that bad a job either.
No.
I'm the first one to pick him apart. And, he's been, the last couple of games, he's been pretty good.
And, I mean, they called a great game. They let them play it out.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people in the stands yelling, "Oh, why didn't they call that penalty? Why didn't they?" I looked at them and I had to tell them, this is the playoffs. This is the finals. This is for the cup. A little tug on a jersey will not get called in the playoffs unless the guy's on a breakaway. And it's blatantly obviously to see. If somebody's in the corner fighting for a ball and, the opponent grabs the jersey a little bit, they're not going to call that. No blood, no foul.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it should be in this third game on Saturday night, 9:30, NLL TV, obviously, and also on Twitter at NLL. It's a Twitter game of the week, obviously. It's free.
It's the Twitter game of the week, yeah.
Yeah, it's the only game of the week. But also, if you live in Rochester, it's going to be on the CW, on the regular TV in Rochester. So, if you're in Rochester, turn on the CW. You're going to have the game right there on TV. You don't have to worry about watching it online or watching it on Twitter or anything like that. So they're going to carry the game there. Talking to Steven Stamp while we were there, Gary, and he was doing the color with Craig Rivzinski on the radio for Rochester, and he was talking about, I think Evan put this in his random thoughts for the game announcers. And he mentioned one name, and it reminded me of what Steven Stamp said. I mean, the guy Jay is just brutal.
Yeah, I have no idea why he was given the assignment when there's so many good announcers within the area.
Yeah, what you should have is this. Okay, here's what I would do. Okay, you have Jake Elliott doing the play-by-play, Teddy Jenner doing color. Okay, and then what you can do is you can put these two fellas, one on each bench. Steven Stamp on one bench, Brian Shanahan on the other.
Yeah, I would go for Shanny and Andy Mack in the booth. I'm pretty partial to them.
I think Jake is better.
They did champions last year, and they did after Georgia screwed up that first game so badly. They did a fantastic job in game 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you put Jake and Teddy up there, you got 3 Tom Borelli Award winners right there. Jake has won it twice. Teddy's won it once. And we all know how Jake calls the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's what I would do. I would have those two in there, and either put those two by the benches or whatever to get interviews or whatever, or put one of them in between the glass of over by the penalty box or something. Get just everything all around. Have your best out there. So I'm kind of curious to see what they have for Game 3 coming up. That should be quite interesting. But
I'm glad I'm live. I don't have to listen to it.
Yeah. Lucky you. Lucky you. You get on a flight in a few hours to go there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this is just...
I'll be there for the entire day's festivities, pre-games, and all the rest of the bantering, and should be a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of things planned in the daytime there.
And see what happens as far as, are they going to come home with the cup? Is it flying home to Rochester? Is it staying there in Saskatchewan? Do they get their third one in what, 4 years? I don't know. This is going to be a battle. It really, really is. And I honestly don't know which way to pick on this. Last week I went with Saskatchewan and they lost. Game 1 I went with Rochester and they lost.
Go with Rochester. Who said that?
So it seems like whoever I pick, they lose. That's how it's been the last 2 weeks. But
are we looking for you to get in the right column this week?
Yeah, so I don't know. I honestly don't. I've been thinking about this game all week. I've been weighing, the goods and the bads and, the ups and downs and, who I would actually want to go with if, it's, a do or die game, what goalie I would want to have, what players I would want. And, some of the players outweigh the goalie. And, for me, if I had to just pick based on goalie, I would have to go with, with Vince. Just because of the way, he can get in that type of game. But then you look at the Saskatchewan offense, and they could explode at any moment in time. Rochester's offense can do the same thing.
Yeah.
We could have a 15-14 game, or defenses can show up for both these teams, and we could have an 8-7 game. You don't know in this one. You really don't. And these players are going to put it all out there. This is it. This is the final game of the year. Everybody's played their preseason games. We went through an 18-game schedule that took from December all the way to the end of April. Why, I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I can somewhat understand because you're adding 2 more teams now in next year, so those slots will get filled, so who knows. But preseason games, the practices, the 2-hour practices each week, the training camps, the bumps, the bruises, the sprains, the tears, and 6-game losing streaks and chinks in the armor. It all comes down to tomorrow night in exactly 23 and a half hours. We're less than 24 hours away for a 60-minute game to hoist the NLL Cup, the new cup. Who will be the first team to lift it? Will it be Saskatchewan? Will it be Rochester? That's where you got to start weighing everything. I wish I could say, oh yeah, well, this player did this, and this, but when you look at the Saskatchewan roster, the only one that looked like they showed up was Jeff Shattler, with his 3 goals and 4 assists. Sure, Mark Matthews 4 assists, but 0 goals. Robert Church, just 1 goal. Ben McIntosh, 1 goal. You look at Rochester, okay? Josh Currier with 4, Jameson with 2. And you had Graham Hossick get 2 on transition. But, Vitarelli only had a goal. Joe Restars, 0 goals. So I can't even say that, Restars started clicking again, and, Jammer had 5 or 6 goals, and it's... This is something where you could flip a coin 100 times and still not come up with a winner, Gary. You can't.
True.
I mean, this is nothing like last year's. Nothing like it. You know, I thought Georgia would win it last year, simply because of the way their roster was, and you see how hungry they were. Did I expect them to sweep Saskatchewan? No.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect. But now this game, I don't know. I mean, I can't even say, oh, well, if Saskatchewan starts out quick like they did last game, yeah, they might win. No. Because you can see what Rochester did. They just came out of nowhere and took over the game. But for Rochester to win this, they have to take the crowd out of the game. They really do. And for that to happen, they have to score the first couple goals in this game. If they don't do it and Saskatchewan gets on an early roll, this game could end early. It really could.
Yeah, I think discipline. That's the word that comes to mind for this.
Yeah.
Discipline. From either team, discipline. Because it's been undisciplined play that's actually caused either team to lose either game. So, discipline. Both teams are good enough to do everything in there. So, it's not about certain plays and certain things. Sure, it's fine-tuning different little plays. But discipline. If you can stay out of the box, if you can stick to your plans, you'll do well.
Well, if that's the case, they're going to have to handcuff Billy D. Smith's his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
And somehow have him run that way.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, some way. I don't know how, but...
And if you're going to try and incite him to get him to do stupid things, you better do it very quietly. Because you don't want to be caught, tampering. And if he does lose it, you don't want to be the one to take the wrath of it.
Yeah. You were talking about Brooklyn earlier?
Yep, they won.
Yep, 9-6. They beat Oakville.
Mm-hmm. So now they're the only undefeated team in the league.
They scored the last 3 goals of the game.
It's a pretty back-and-forth game all the way through, so...
Yeah.
They're a good team.
And Zach Higgins even got 2 assists.
Yeah, ironically, their big scorer, Dan Lindner, didn't score. So they did it without him.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I'm looking at the roster, yeah.
Yeah, no, they got a pretty good team.
Yeah. And that's
Look forward to getting out there in the next couple of weeks, seeing a few of their games.
Yeah, so now Brooklyn's 2-0, Peterborough 3-1, Oakville 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, they're the only undefeated team still. Now you got a team like Brampton and Coburg who haven't gotten a win yet, but
yeah.
they couldn't even beat each other, so. But Brampton has a couple aces in the hole once this series is over, and the Dawsons will be coming, which could change things up a little bit. Now, it was no fault of their own. They lost to Oakville yesterday. They lost 8-7. It was a weird game because they got down 6-2 in the first, and it was exactly the opposite by the end of the second. It was 8-7 at the end of the second, and the third period was no scoring, where both goalies basically stood on their heads. And Fryer was the number 2 star. Nolan Clayton for Brampton was the number 1 star. How often do you see that?
Not very, that's for sure.
No, they played their hearts out, and they gave their team opportunities to win. And it is what it is. But that's been Brampton's luck. They really haven't lost by more than 1 or 2 in most of their games, but they seem to be on the losing end continually by 1 or 2.
Huh.
So, a little tweak here and there, and that could be the wins. So I don't think the team is nearly as bad as they look.
No.
At least.
Now I'm looking over at the WLA, and I'm following the path of one Ethan Iannucci, playing for the Burnaby Lakers, Burnaby's 1-2. In 3 games so far, Iannucci has 2 goals and 4 assists. Not, their leading scorer, Dane Stevens, has played 4 games. So wait a minute. So they got to be like 1-3. He's got 7 goals, 6 assists. So yeah, Burnaby's 1-3. So in the 3 games that Iannucci has played, he's got 6 points so far. Slowly getting back into it.
You'll get there.
And of course, my team Langley is sitting at 1-4 in last place again, unfortunately. But New Westminster is 4-0 right now. And Maple Ridge.
Well, we know that they still have the majority of the team that made it to the finals last year, right?
Yeah, well, their roster, Mitch Jones, it's got in 4 games, 10 goals, 16 assists.
Yep.
26 points already. Jordan McBride with 22 points, Logan Shush, Anthony Malcolm, Jason Jones. Let me see if any other familiar names come out. Curtis Hodgson is there. Alex Bouquet is one of the goaltenders. Let's see, Brandon Goodwin, Justin Goodwin, Reed Mitski, Jimmy McBride. Let's see. Their inactive players can make another roster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brett Mitski, Kevin Crowley, Mike Messenger, Joel McCready,
yeah,
Curtis Manning, Tyler Kirkby, Chris Cloutier. I mean, seriously, Keegan Ball. I mean, they even have Jordan Hole on their roster.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, eh?
Zach Hairwire, Ian Hawksby. I mean, come on. Isn't it against the law to have players like that? and their goaltending is Ty Bellinger and Alex Bouquet. Both of them are 2-0. Bellinger's got a 7.95, and Bouquet is an 8.61 goals against average.
People in Vancouver, he's 2-0.
Unbelievable. And now, the one thing I'm thinking of is, when the expansion draft comes around, that's why I'm waiting to see these rosters. Kind of curious to see who does Buffalo keep and who they don't keep. You look at I'm looking at Langley right here. They got Brody McDonald, Tyler Richards, and Jake Sundar as their 3 goaltenders. Now I know Chris Collins is going over there, so I think he's just working his way to get into the lineup. But one of their other inactive goalies is David DeRuccio.
Yeah, we've had a lot of talk about him. I don't expect Buffalo to protect him, so does he wind up somewhere?
Right, but so what goalie do you think they're going to protect? You think they're going to protect Bouquet, or are they going to protect Higgins?
I think they should protect Higgins, but I think they're going to protect Bouquet.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know if I see Bouquet out there and I'm Philadelphia, I go after him. I would have to go after him. I mean, he's a veteran. Maybe, it's just because maybe the defense he had in front of him, I don't know. But if Bouquet or Higgins is left out there, you got to grab one of them. Because I don't know of any other goaltenders that are going to be left out there. That would be worthwhile taking. Because we know that Calgary's going to protect Christian Del Bianco.
Right, which leaves Cagliano available.
Right, and I don't know. Maybe San Diego takes a flyer on him. Maybe.
Well, he's going to want to stay out west because he works for me. He works outside of Vancouver. So,
right.
As a plumber.
Yeah. So maybe San Diego takes a flyer on him just to see. Maybe change the scenery might help.
It did wonders for Mike Poulin, didn't it?
Yeah, big time. Big time wonders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's the whole thing. You got to wonder what teams are going to. Maybe some teams might not protect either of their goalies. And they feel that protecting 6 defensemen is better.
Mm-hmm.
5 forwards. That's what's going to be very interesting. And when that comes out, Gary, we're going to get the list and see if it was us picking, who would we pick?
Right.
We'll make up our rosters for each team, and I mean we could do this one of 2 ways, or we could do it both ways. Really, we can just go ahead and pick ourselves, and then maybe just each pick like we're talking now. So I don't know who you're going to pick off the bat, and you don't know who I'm going to pick.
Mm-hmm.
This way we have our own separate roster, because we can pick the same rosters.
Right.
When we do it ourselves. Or you may want a certain player. You may want Brad Cree on San Diego. I may want him on Philly. When we're doing, when we do it ourselves. But if we do it this way, I think it might be kind of interesting to see where we go and who, what roster comes out better, or how, it would work out. But that's going to be coming up. There's a whole lot. Coming up. We did the MSL standings. Like I said, New Westminster's 4-0, Maple Ridge 3-1, Victoria and Nanaimo both 2-2. Then Coquitlam 1-2, Burnaby 1-3, and Langley at 1-4. Most of the teams have played 4 or 5 games, so they still have a bunch of a long way to go. They still got, I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They still got, I think, like an 18-game season. So they got all summer. So this is going to get quite interesting. But New Westminster seems to be on a roll right now with things, just like Oakville is right now. But we all know how the season ended last year.
Yeah.
How crazy that was. And Brooklyn right now 2-0. They still have a few games in hand.
Anything's possible, but there's still an awful lot to play here.
Yeah, an awful lot to play, and I wish I was closer.
Only just beginning.
Yeah, I wish I was closer so I could see these games, because I know they're going to be crazy. And
they already have been. It's insane.
Yeah, and you know what? They have a package where you could, get 10 games for a certain amount or whatever. They ought to put a package out there like the NLL does,
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was it, like $39.95 or whatever, or $36 or whatever it may be for the whole entire...
These arenas, a lot of them are old, a lot of them are small, and I don't know if they have the equipment to be able to do what the NLL TV can do.
Yeah, but instead of charging $10 each game, that site that shows the games, you pay so much for the year, and whatever games are being shown, you watch them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the whole season for that price. I'm pretty sure they would get more people to watch it that way than they would charging like $8 a game, $9 a game. Because I would love to sit here and watch Peterborough, whenever they're at home or whatever, or if they're in Six Nations and, that one's being shown on the website or what have you. And then go over to the West Coast and watch, the Salmon Bellies against the Langley Thunder, or against the Burnaby Lakers, or, or against the Timbermen.
Right.
But it's like they'd say, oh, well, you got 10 games for $50. Really? Yeah, okay, it's $5 a game. It's like half price, but I think you get better viewership with something like the NLL does.
Mm-hmm.
Just my 2 cents on that, which I think would be better. I know a few years ago, Langley used to show their home games for free on their website, so that was always good. But,
well, like I say, I'm lucky that I'm half an hour to an hour away from most of these games, hour and a half max. So I can jump to most of these games.
Yeah, the closest I am is about 2 hours away from watching the Chesapeake Bayhawks.
Right.
Down in Maryland. So believe me, I would. Yeah, it's like when I know there's a game on, I just go to Point Streak and just wait for the score to change. Right now.
Right.
Yeah, you kind of go through lax withdrawal right now. But with everything happening this summer, it's going to be kind of exciting going on. So let's get to the picks. Who we're going with. You're leaving in a few hours, getting on a flight. Do you have to go to Calgary first and then cut back to Saskatchewan, or are you going straight into Saskatchewan this time?
Luckily enough, I'm going straight into Saskatchewan this time.
Are they wait, are they stopping, or do you have to jump out with a parachute?
No, I actually get to land at the airport, but it's funny because when I was looking at flights on the way back, luckily I got one that's again a direct flight back to Toronto. But there was one, and this one just blew me away. I would have to fly from, I think it was Saskatchewan, from Saskatoon to Calgary, Calgary to Regina, and then Regina to Toronto. I was like, what in the hell am I doing all that for?
What?
Oh yeah. The other one was going to be a 12-hour one, but I would have to lay over in Calgary, going the wrong way, for 4 or 5 hours, and then fly overnight.
Okay, now wait a minute, hold it.
That's ridiculous.
Saskatchewan to Calgary to Regina.
Back to Regina, which is the capital of Saskatchewan. So Saskatoon to Calgary.
Back to
Calgary
Saskatchewan.
To Regina, and then Regina to Toronto.
So wait, so you're leaving from Saskatchewan, going to
I'd be flying Saskatchewan is what I'd be doing.
Yeah, going to Calgary and then flying back to Saskatchewan.
Right.
And then to Toronto.
Right. Yeah, some of these things I looked at were just ridiculous.
Wow.
Luckily, I got a straight flight, direct flight straight in. I had to do a little searching, but I found what I wanted. Some of the stuff was just bizarre.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saskatchewan, Calgary, back to Regina, which is in Saskatchewan. Then, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's where if you have somebody with you and they're running late, just say, "Look, just drive over to Regina. We'll pick you up on the way back."
Yeah, I'm just going to tour Calgary first.
Yeah.
Have a look at their airport for about an hour or so.
Oh, that's just...
Brought to you by the people of Air Canada and some of the stupidity that goes in with that.
Jesus.
So yeah, luckily for me, I have direct flights both ways, so
that's good.
That's 3 hours and change both ways, and I'll be good.
Yeah, me and my wife, we started talking about the Vancouver trip coming up, which is a year from now. But I was telling her that even if we fly into Vancouver, we still got about an hour drive to Langley. So I told her it might be cheaper if we just go, Philly to Seattle, and then get a car in Seattle and just drive the extra hour. So it'll be a 2-hour drive instead of a 1-hour drive. Depending on what the costs are and things like that. I mean, if you're already in the car for 1 hour, what's another hour? So who knows? We're going to see. Her cousin used to be a travel agent. She, moved us over to. She's not doing it anymore. So one of her friends, is doing it, and she says she's really reliable. So once September of this year rolls around, September, October, we'll be able to see what the flight is. What the flight packages are out there and things like that, to start getting, things on a roll for that. But it's something to think about. Taking either a 2-hour ride or a 1-hour ride, and it's all going to depend on what the flight is back too.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. So, but Gary, Game 3 tomorrow night. I don't even know why I'm asking you. I know who you're going to go with. But why?
in a game that's close, I go with the home team. And I'm going with Saskatchewan for a number of reasons. On paper, they're the better team. They are still the better team.
Right.
I think with the mass of people and them being used to how to work the crowd, I think that'll go in their advantage to them majorly. I don't think Evan Kerr could have had a worse game than in Game 2. I don't plan on seeing that one. I don't think he plans on seeing that again. I don't think Saskatchewan could have played much worse a game than they did. They were completely discombobulated. Their shots were way off, and they were doing all kinds of silly things off ball and taking dopey penalties. Very uncharacteristic. And I am sure that Coach Keenan will have righted the ship on most of that, if not all of that. For Rochester to win, they had to put out the perfect game plan and execute, and that's what they did. Do I think that they can do that to the letter again? No, I don't. Now, that's not to take anything away from them. I think they are totally deserving to be in this, and as it's shown, game 1-1. They're the only one that's taken Saskatchewan to task all year. But I just don't. Not in this game. Not in this game. I don't see it.
Yeah. I agree with you on most of that, because I know that Evan Kirk won't let another game like that happen again. And Derek Keenan during his press conference was the calmest that I've ever seen a coach in my life. During that after game press conference, he wasn't worried that that Rochester took control of the game and never let them back in it, and that they were forcing shots and just like you were saying, a lot of off-ball errors and things like that. He was calm, cool, and collective during it. But what I did see on the Rochester side is a Matt Vince that I haven't seen since 2012. And that's the Matt Vince that when they played against Calgary, after they lost the second game, or they won the second game, I believe, at home, and then they had to play the mini game, that he was so focused in on that mini game after they went down 2-0, he just put it on lock. And he is the one player who can steal this game. On paper, like you said, Saskatchewan has the depth of this roster. You got Mark Matthews, you got Ben McIntosh, you got Shatler, Cornwall, Corbeil, Robert Church, who I feel right now will definitely be the MVP should Saskatchewan win the cup. You just go right down the line. The depth is unbelievable. Rochester has a young team. They have a lot of players that are on this roster that were not there the last time this team was in the playoffs. And that's what's going to hurt them, in this game. But with Jake Withers winning the amount of faceoffs that he is winning right now, that I feel is going to play a big part in the game. Mm-hmm. Rochester, if they continue to win these faceoffs, they're going to be able to keep that Saskatchewan defense out there longer than they need to be out there. And I think you're going to see them run that shot clock down unless they have an open shot right away. The longer you keep the offense on the bench, the better shot you have at winning this game. Right now, I think I have to ride the hot goaltender and just the way he played. And I'm hoping the streak ends. But I think Rochester goes into Saskatchewan, wins this game, and they join the 6 club, which is 6 championships. They'll join Toronto and Philadelphia with 6 titles under their belt. Would I be upset if they lost? No. Because with this, and anything can happen in this game. And if Rochester wants to win this, they got to take the crowd out of the game from the get-go, from the start. When they win the face-offs, they have to. And I think you'll agree with me on this, Gary. They have to run that shot clock down. Mm-hmm. No need to take a shot within the first 10 to 12 seconds of the shot clock when you win the face-off. Get everybody out there. Get everybody to get a touch of the ball. Let the shot go with about 5 seconds to go on the shot clock. That's what you do. You keep that defense out there for 25 seconds every time you have that ball. And if you're lucky enough and you pick up a rebound and you get another 30 seconds, you get to keep them out there longer. You got to frustrate them. You got to stay out of the box. That's what's going to win this game. Whoever stays out of the box will win this game. Because we saw what happened in the second quarter. Saskatchewan was in for 8 minutes. You only play 15 in a quarter. You can't spend half of that time with your main offensive players on the bench. Now, granted, you only get 30 seconds to get a shot off. So, yeah, they did come out at time, but you're missing one person on there because you can only put 4 runners out there. So, I mean, what are you going to do? If you get penalties, you're going to get hurt by them. And right now, Rochester hasn't clicked on the power play yet. And that's scary. In a way that if they do click on it, I think it's going to be a major explosion. And yes, Saskatchewan, it's very vital that both teams can count to 5. Mm-hmm. You can't afford any type of bench minors for illegal substitution. You can't afford any delay of game. When the ref says do not touch the ball, you don't touch that ball.
Right.
Just put it down and go. Let it be. Don't be a nice guy and stop the ball so the ref don't have to run the extra 10, 15 yards. Let it go. He could use the exercise. Let him run. I don't know how else to put it, you get a penalty. Don't go argue with the ref. Just go to the box. You can't go hurting your team, whether it's Saskatchewan or Rochester. Saskatchewan's going to want to come out quick and get the fans in it. Make it, like there's 15,006 people out on the floor against Rochester. Meanwhile, Rochester wants to do it where they basically kick them out of the stadium to start. So, like I said, so far every team I picked has lost. I know people in Rochester probably hope I say Saskatchewan, so they would lose. But I'm going to go with Rochester. They've been my choice all year to win the title this year. Even though they have youth on there, I think they have enough. They showed me enough last game that they can do it again in Saskatchewan. It's not. It's going to be tough to win 2 games in a row, but I think they can do it. Billy D. Smith showed that he can play a game without getting a penalty, which is very hard to do. And the only penalties that they got, from what I see, it was a hold and a delayed game, both on Jake Withers. So, the one that Jake Withers got in the fourth quarter was when the game was basically already in hand at that point. They ended up scoring on the power play. That's when they made it 11-6. But other than that, they kept themselves under control. And you look at Saskatchewan, you had a slash, check from behind, a rough, and a couple bench minors for the bad substitution, which tells me that Tyler Carlson couldn't count the 5. Mm-hmm. Unless it was on the other side of the bench. I don't know. But somebody couldn't count the 5. So, I'm going to go Rochester. Keep my fingers crossed that they end up winning this. And like I said, if Saskatchewan wins, I'll be happy for them too. I mean, I just hope that when this game is over, that it's not one of those types of goals where the ball just barely makes it across and the goalie just misses it. You know, I don't want to see a game end on a goal like that. You know, I'd rather see the team get blown out than lose, you know, something that way. You know, or a goal that they have to review and they say was inconclusive. You know, I want the championship goal to be a clean goal in the game. I'm sure most of the people out there would feel the same way. Because then all year you're sitting there going, I can't believe it. It's just a matter of 6 inches and he just missed the ball. But that's it. Game 3. Gary, you're leaving in about 6 hours, 6.5 hours at the most. Mm-hmm. Head to the airport to see Grandma Rush, most likely. Kelvin.
She'll be there.
Yep. Say hello to Kelvin for me. Need to know how the hat feels. Yeah, and enjoy yourself, man. Have a great time out there. I mean, believe I wish I was going. I would love to be there, but no doubt the crowd's going to be loud out there. Again, NLL TV to watch the game, Twitter at NLL to watch it live and for free. People out in Rochester, it's on the CW at 9:30 Eastern. I'm pretty sure it's probably on a local channel up there in Saskatchewan. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything as far as what channel they may have it on, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. So people in Saskatchewan, get out there, support your team. Don't really have to say that. You've been selling the damn building out. Good luck to both teams, the fans. Enjoy yourselves. And until next week when we go over the championship game and we crown a champion and we could talk about the expansion rosters and everything else. Everything is going to start coming to a head where we now going to have 11 teams in this league, Gary. So it's really going to start to get interesting over the summer as 2 teams start to build themselves and the other 9 teams have to look and say, okay, we have to replace this guy. We have to replace this one. We have to replace that one. So it's going to get kind of interesting. For Gary Group at Lax Philly, I'm Rocco Granato in lacrossetrust.com. We thank you for listening. Again, thank you to everybody who watched our Facebook Live show last week. Thanks to John Taragino again at the Stock Exchange for allowing us to do the game there. Big thanks to Bill O'Brien for giving us a little pump up there, a little shout out during his show again. Go to his Facebook page, Brian O'Thrill. That's Brien. Friend him there. There's a whole bunch of videos on there. You won't be disappointed. And that, Gary, as you said earlier, you used a lot of them for some motivation and encouragement. Bill's just not your basic tough guy out there.
Oh no, gentle giant.
Yeah, and a comedian at that too. Mm-hmm. If you like to watch girls in bikinis washing a car, go to his page and watch it. There's a little surprise in there. So with that being said, everybody, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see everybody here again next week. Take care.